Hi friends, on today's show I'm helping you transition from summer to back to school with easy ideas for everything from meals and morning routines to scheduling and self-care. We kick off today's show with a recipe you can adapt for everyone in your family from Top Chef winner Kelsey Barnard Clark. Then I'll consult with a life coach to get tips on simplifying our schedules and prioritizing self-care. After that, I'm asking a friend and fellow online entrepreneur to help us put all that advice into practical terms for our daily lives. Finally, I'll share how to maximize your morning routine to both reduce stress and save money. So text a friend, open up your notes app, and get ready to be inspired like never before, because this is the Sami Cone Show.
From the News Channel 5 Network, this is the Sami Cone Show.
If anyone can help us multitask and simplify meal prep, it's the winner of season 16 of Top Chef, Kelsey Barnard Clark. Kelsey, welcome to the Sami Cone Show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you. We're huge Top Chef fans in our family, and I'm still impressed that you were able to not only compete, but win Top Chef less than a year after having your first child.
Yes, I don't recommend that part, but it worked out, so here we are.
All's well that ends well. Well, we've got so much to talk about. I want to talk about your restaurants, your new cookbook, but you've got a great meal idea that I think could work for lunch or dinner as we transition, especially from this summer to back to school time. What is that?
Yeah, so this is a brown rice bowl, and it's one of my favorites. We eat this a lot. We serve it at the restaurant, and it's great because it's so versatile. You can change out the proteins. You can do no protein. You can kind of accommodate for whoever doesn't like something or does or has an allergy or doesn't. So it's just one of those really quick, easy, healthy options that we eat a lot at my house and also serve in the restaurant.
Yeah, that easy, healthy, simple is everything we want to do, especially we have a vegetarian in our family, we have a meat eater, I'm allergic to some fish. So help me break down what the basics are and then how we can kind of accommodate all those picky eaters or different types of diet restrictions in our family.
Yeah, so, typically it's either done, I do brown rice or quinoa. So if you are gluten-free, if you have any issues like that, obviously quinoa is a great option. Brown rice I love. So brown rice or quinoa, you just do like a scoop of that first, and you add as much as you want, honestly. I usually do about a half a cup of that, roughly cooked. And then vegetables can be anything in the world your heart desires. Today I've got a little bit of some lettuce, some Brussels sprouts, some tomatoes, onions. You just do a big spoon of that as well.
And did you do
and then
that
right on the top?
Are those roasted or were those just kind of pan sauteed?
So I call these like fake roasted. So you just cook these on like high heat for just a few minutes. And it's a lot quicker than roasting because it only takes like 10 minutes on a stovetop like that.
That's awesome.
So it is sauteed, but it still has that roast char taste to it, which is easy, great. So yummy.
That's great. And then what can you add on top of that?
So today I'm topping this with in the book, there's a recipe for whole roasted chicken. I cook this all the time, and there's even an option talking about how, like, if you cook 2 a week, you can eat it for multiple days. So I just like to top this with that chicken. You just pull it right off the bone when you're ready. And then last but not least, add a little bit of herbs like green onion, parsley, cilantro, dill, really whatever you want. I know this is super clean and easy. Basically, all the seasoning here is olive oil and salt because that's really all you need, and proper cooking technique. So great. I eat this all the time.
I would imagine you could even grab a rotisserie chicken if you wanted to save time, or like you said, use leftovers from dinner the night before. Do you put any like sauce or dressing? Kids love something to kind of drizzle over it. What would you recommend?
Yeah, you definitely can. I have a ton of dressings in the book, different kind of vinaigrettes that you can do different options of. Even like a little bit of sesame oil and soy sauce is wonderful in there. Kind of gives a different flavor. And I do that a lot. And here's actually the version I did with salmon. So same thing, looks delicious, same exact thing. You just change it up a little bit. And I usually cook the salmon in like a little bit of soy sauce, maybe some mirin. And that's a delicious, different flavor, same exact ingredients, same time frame.
I love it, and I love the tips you give. This is your new cookbook. Congratulations, Southern Grits, coming out this week. I have to confess, I loved reading it as much as I loved cooking from it. I felt like I got to kind of come on your homestead in Alabama just a little bit.
That's the goal, yes.
Tell us what why this came about and why this is coming out now.
I learned how to cook on cookbooks. So when I was kind of coming up, I was really young when I got hooked on cooking. So when I was really young, there was no Google. You couldn't just get on your computer and look up recipes. So everything I learned was either like on Food Network or cookbooks. And I just kind of told myself, like, if I ever got into a place where I could write my own, I want to make it incredibly just versatile and easy to read and appeal to everyone. And that was sort of my goal here, is just to really just teach people through my passion of cooking.
Well, you did a great job. I mean, everything from buttermilk biscuits to baby back ribs. I'm happy to say the key lime crunch puppy chow from that Top Chef Quick Fire is in here. You can find Southern Grit wherever books are sold. Kelsey Barnard Clark, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful to be on here. Bye, Sammy.
Bye. Mental health is on the forefront of everyone's mind after the Olympics, but these issues are not new issues. So how do we prioritize our own health while taking care of those we love? That's why I've asked expert life coach, guru, can I say that, Jamie George, to join me today.
How about fellow traveler?
Relationship alchemist. I love that. I love that. Jamie, you have helped me personally and my family just by helping us to give words to things that may be worth thinking but can't verbalize. Can you just talk a little bit about, like I said, this mental health topic is not a new one, and yet we're all feeling it. Why now more than ever?
Well, the word selfish often comes up when we're referring to ourselves, right? So we have a lot of stigma around, well, I shouldn't be selfish. Right. And even the phrase shouldn't is an interesting phrase. Yeah. So Brene Brown talks a lot, she's a shame researcher, and she talks a lot about shame and guilt. Yeah. And we've talked about this, but I'm going to use this as a foundation because I think it's important. Shame always goes after identity. Guilt goes after behavior. So if you're shaming yourself, and shouldn't is usually a shaming word, right? I should have done this different, but it usually means there's some name calling that happens in our head. I'm a loser, I'm an idiot, I never should have done it that way, right? It usually goes after identity. Now guilt's a little different. Guilt to me is really helpful. Guilt says, I actually don't think that's reflective of me. I want to change that behavior, right? Yeah. So it's just a quick way to check in. Am I in shame right now, which is not helpful? Right. Or am I in a place where I just feel this guilt? And if it's guilt, well, then I can change my behavior. How I frame that has everything to do with how I take care of myself and then other people. Yeah, so that's an important kind of, like you say, as a fellow traveler. It's a foundation. It is a foundation. So then how do we distinguish those milestones between selfish and self-care so that we're doing something healthy so that we can help others and not just turn inward? It's cliche, but the oxygen mask on the face is simple, and again, sometimes the things that are cliche are profound. We keep saying them for a reason. Yeah. You have to put the oxygen on yourself before you put it on your child. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're working from a deficit, and that's often when you're ill-tempered, it's when you're not patient, it's often when you're reacting instead of acting. So self-care has a lot to do with being the cause, not just the effect. Taking action, not living in reaction. Okay. So self-care is checking in here first. Yeah. And usually there's a why involved. What's my motive? So you can watch someone's behavior, let's take the Olympic athlete, and their behavior, someone might go, well, they made this decision. She said, I made this decision for me. Yeah, Simone Biles. Right, Simone, right? And some people might go, well, that's being selfish because she said she's doing it for me. And others might go, well, that's actually that's showing self-care. Healthy. Well, the same decision could be either one. Right. The question is the motive of the heart. Interesting. So you have to check in and go, well, why am I doing this? Am I doing this for the benefit of me and then for all? Well, now I'm actually taking care of myself to be in my best place to take care of others. Okay, that's good. But if I'm working from a deficit and there's like, everybody's got about, picture a glass full of water. You got this much energy for the day. If you're always scraping the bottom of that glass and working from that to give to other people, how well are you going to serve people? Yeah, you're not. And so can you give us some practical tips? I know that's going to look different for everyone. You'll say find your passion or, do that sort of thing. But I think especially, I'll just say as a woman, as a mom, there's the cliche like, I need Netflix and chill, I need wine. I'm like, I don't drink wine. Like sometimes I wish I did. Right. Like just put it in like, how can we get the biggest bang for our buck, All right, Peyton Manning is famous for saying pressure only comes to the unprepared. So sometimes it's just getting ahead of it. So school supplies. How many times? I'm one of them. It's the day before.
We were there last
it's not
night.
Like I knew. It's not like I did. I knew school was coming, right? But if I just planned 5 days out. Now here's the thing about planning. It's on a to-do-ist. It'll live on a to-do list or your to-do-ist app. It'll live there forever until it makes it to the calendar. So it's a super practical thing. I do this with clients all the time. Well, I need to do this. Is it on your calendar yet?
Interesting.
Put it on your calendar, 2 p.m. I'm going to go school shopping a week before school starts. And suddenly, okay, now I'm a little more prepared.
And can we do the same with our kids then?
Absolutely. And teach them the same thing. Like we actually know this thing is coming and we talk about how it's important, but if it doesn't actually make it to the calendar, then it's not actionable. So 2 quick things would be, number 1, be prepared by making it actionable ahead of time. And then number 2, for yourself, slow motion.
So good.
Just go to slow motion, slow things down. You get up in the morning, you go immediately into, you're reacting, frenetic. Hold on, slow motion for just a second, slow it down. How am I? Check in. You might even need like a 5-minute meditation or a reading or something that centers you.
Okay, and on that note, I wish we could keep going. Jamie, thank you so much. If you want more information from Jamie, we're going to link to his website, but I just appreciate this, and we're going to take a deep breath collectively now. Thank you, Jamie. It's good to see you as always.
Thank you, Sammy.
Appreciate it. That was I've given you a lot of ways to make scheduling and self-care a priority today, but what does that look like in real life? I want to turn to my good friend, fellow online entrepreneur and mom of 5, Audrey Mcclellan, to walk us through some practical tips for how to put this to use every day. Audrey, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk with you.
I'm always excited to talk with you. You are one of those people that I look at and think, how does she do everything she does? And not just do it, but do it well. So can you talk, just kind of give us the big picture? Because whether or not people have kids, this is one of those times where schedules shift, right? Things shift. How can we help make that shift, you know, from this kind of summer to back to school season and do it well and not feel like we're frazzled?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I always consider this my new year. I mean, I know that typically it's, you know, January 1st, but, you know, this is always the beginning of my new year, especially because I do have 5 kids. And for me, it's that back to school rush. You know, for me, especially too, what I always do every single September 1st, and I start right now, is really start to go into that headset of, you know, I need to start getting myself like a calendar intact. So many times throughout the summer, the calendars are just thrown out the window because, you know, we're here, we're there, we're everywhere. But, you know, it's to set just a solid routine, not only for myself, but for my family. And, you know, and I say this not only just for people with children, but, you know, before I had kids, every September, I would go into that mindset of needing to get myself into just a practical, and, you know, to be honest with you, just, I knew a schedule and routine that I could keep. I didn't want to make anything too grand, too lofty. It needed to be practical and really digestible for myself.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you make a good point too, because you do have not only 5 kids schedules, you're a wife, you're a mom, I mean, you do a lot in terms of being an online entrepreneur and author, and you do them well. I know we've talked about the word balance is almost a misnomer, right? You can't equally prioritize everything. So what tips do you have for giving kind of that intense energy where it needs to happen at different parts of the day?
You know, I had a really great friend a couple years ago, Heather, say, you know what, Audrey, you keep saying the word balance. She goes, you really should be using the word blend. And when I made that shift from truly like the balance to blending, and it's blending those worlds of family and work, and also for myself, prioritizing that self-care piece of it. And that's when really for me, it clicked. It wasn't so much about trying to balance, you know, all the plates, everything in the air. It was trying to blend them together as best as I could. You know, and I always joke with people, I know you probably heard me say this before, there are some days I'm a great mom, there are some days I'm a great wife, There are some days I'm a great businesswoman, and on the days that like that happens for all three of them, I'm like a unicorn.
Right.
It doesn't always happen, and I feel like, to your point, being honest and real about that is one of the most important things that we can do, not only as women, but just as people in general.
Absolutely. And so how do you make your kids a part of the solution rather than, I don't want to ever say the problem, but how do you incorporate them into everything you were just talking about?
You know, I try my very best to make sure that I have help at home. You know, I have 4 kids who are teenagers, and even before they were teenagers, you know, I mean, I know it sounds really basic, Sammy, but I have a chore chart. Everybody has a dishwasher day. Everybody has a laundry day. I always say, you know, it's all hands on deck, you know, that this ship is not going to sail if everybody in the ship, as in our house, really helps out and does what they need to do. Even, you know, kids as little as like, you know, 2, 3, and 4, giving them even like little jobs just to help you out, match the socks, you know, just tiny little things that just alleviate things off of your list really does go a long way.
Yeah. Is there any one thing that you feel like sets you up for success before we go, or one thing that can derail it? Like what's one hindsight is 2020 moment that you would share?
You know, for me, it's just giving myself grace. You know, I've put a lot of pressure on myself. And I think if we as individuals just can give ourselves grace, because you know what, you know, you're not always going to get that to-do list down. You're not always going to hit everything that needs to get done. And you have to be okay with that and just know that you're not alone. Millions of people are going through that same exact worry and stress and feeling overwhelmed.
That's so good. I love that. I love you. Before I let you go, you have another project you have just launched. I don't know how you do it, but can you share? Look at that, a book trilogy, not just one, folks, but 3.
Right. So, you know, we're all looking for self-care. And for me, you know, I know, Sammy, we've known each other for over a decade. I love love. I love romance. I love happily ever afters. And this has been my self-care over the last 18 months. I've actually put like creative writing back into practice. And I think it's an important thing that we all need to do for ourselves is what does drive that happiness or that passion? Is it yoga? Is it working out? Is it writing? Whatever it is, you know, bring that back in.
Absolutely. I'm so proud of you. You can find her book trilogy. You can find her at Audrey Mcclellan on Instagram, momgenerations.com. Audrey, I can't wait to see you in person soon.
Love you, Sammy.
Love you too. Bye, friend. How can we maximize our morning routine to have less stress and save money? Well, I'm here to tell you. We've had so many great tips from our guests today, but what does that look like, really looking at it from night to morning? Well, I always say a good day starts with a great night before. So let's first start with doing what we can to set ourselves up for success. And that's going to start with preparing as much as we can the night before. A really easy way to do this is to have your kids make their lunches. I do not care how old your kids are. They can start by packing their lunches. Make sure you get anything that's non-perishable in the lunchbox right away. Get water bottles filled. And if you do have anything perishable, try to put them all in one area of the fridge. I even try to keep all of our kids' dishes or snacks in one area of the fridge or even the pantry, so it can just be a grab and go moment, and that's a really easy step. The next thing you want to do is set yourself up for success with breakfast. Now that can be doing kind of those egg muffin tin frittatas. I even like to do pancake batter, or in our case crepe batter, and have that made up and in the fridge so it's ready to go. And while you're doing that the night before, go ahead and make yourself lunch. Kelsey Barnard Clark gave us a great meal we can do. You could even make a mason jar salad, but something that can be grab and go so that you make sure that you actually eat lunch. And what you can do is on Sunday nights prep some of these things so that they're ready to go throughout the week, and that way you're not scrambling during the day. One more meal tip. Make sure to either you or your kids set the dishes for breakfast the next day, your plates, your cups, your bowls. You can even make sure dishes are in the dishwasher the night before, and just have these ready to go on the table so it's one less step in the morning. Okay. We talked about meal. That's a really easy way to knock things out. Another important thing to make sure you get a good night's sleep is to have better sleep hygiene. Yes, this is a really buzzword right now, especially with the Olympics just finishing. What does that mean? There's a few things. The Vanderbilt Sleep Centers always say, make sure to stop eating about 3 hours before bed, turn off all electronics about an hour before bed, and maybe, I say invest, but you can get these at the dollar store, blue light blocking glasses if you are going to be on your phone or device. Make sure to do that. That's going to help you fall asleep more easily. And then thanks to Jamie, who was just coaching us, making sure you have a calendar for the whole family. Now, I know a lot of us are using our devices, but I still believe in the importance of having a paper calendar in a central location in the house that your entire family can see. We actually have kind of a dry erase monthly calendar and a weekly calendar. And what we do is we stick big month goals on our monthly calendar, and then we do actual appointments on the weekly calendar in, of course, color coding. Any excuse to use colored pens, you know I'm going to grab it. So the kids each have their own color, and then I'll just have them write in our little board in the kitchen what their work schedule is, what their sports schedule is, if they're going to hang with friends, and then we save the monthly calendars for some of those bigger ticket items like a vacation or days off of school, someone coming into town. But that helps us all to have a, like I said, that big picture of what everyone is doing, where everyone is going, especially when I'm the one that's doing most of the driving. We need to be able to manage time accordingly. Now, to make that final morning out the door smoother, go ahead and work backwards. So if you know you want to have that devotion that he was talking about, work out, eat breakfast, figure out how much each of those items take, and then subtract that from the time you want to leave. So there's no guesswork. You're getting out the door on time. Everyone's on the same page, and you know what's expected. I'm going to have a full list of all these on SamiCone.com, but if I could give you any advice, make sure that you have something that you're grateful for, whether it's a quick prayer as you leave the door in the morning, or even as you're in the car on the way to school or work. Just say something you're grateful for, have your kids repeat it, and you're going to have a great day. I can almost guarantee it. Before I go, I need you to know it's okay to celebrate. Our family experienced a lot of celebrations in the last month, including my birthday, my daughter's birthday, and my mom's 75th birthday. As we sat down at a steakhouse we'd never been to for her birthday dinner, my kids became visibly uncomfortable and shocked by the prices. After putting their minds to ease, it gave us the opportunity to teach them an important lesson. It's okay to celebrate. We don't eat like that every day, but that's exactly why we live the way we do. We save where we can so we can spend where we want. We may have routines and rhythms most days, but it's okay to veer away from those on special occasions. And even more so, that's why we do what we do on a daily basis, to not only make moments like those possible, but extra special. They also learned that if someone wants to treat them, don't rob them of that joy. I reminded them of the excitement they feel when they give someone they love a unique gift. So when someone wants to do the same for them, they should accept it with equal excitement and immense gratitude. We've heard reminders from some amazing individuals today that not only is self-care not selfish, it's necessary. So as we all prepare to head into this next season, let's plan and prioritize, but let's also not forget to celebrate both big and small milestones, as well as everyday opportunities. After all, it's the small wins that propel us to reach our grandest goals. And as James 1:17 reminds us, every good and perfect gift is from above. My prayer for you today is that you found at least one takeaway from this show that will encourage you, inspire you, or motivate you toward your goals. I also want to thank each of my guests who gave so generously of their time and wisdom, as well as Lily Pulitzer and Kendra Scott of Green Hills for providing my wardrobe and jewelry for today's show. I hope you have a great day. Make sure you make it great, and do not wait to tell someone you love how you feel about them. Bye, friends.